All right, let's get right to the heart of this thing.
Don't fight it, son. Confess quickly.
Strange women lying in ponds, distributing swords is no basis for a system of government.
It's evil! Don't touch it!
That was only one of the many occasions on which I met my death.
Welcome to Framework. I'm John, one of the hosts of Framework, and with me as always, the other host of Framework, Al. How are you today, sir?
Oh, I'm all right. I am sitting here in a snowstorm, so hopefully we don't have too many technical difficulties. But if I drop out suddenly, it's either because of that or because I've been sucked off into a time portal to ancient Troy.
Yeah, that could be, because we're talking about Time Bandits today, the first real film in the Terry Gilliam filmography, in part of our series on his films, and now for something completely Gilliam.
Take that, Jabberwocky.
Sort of a loaded way of starting this, I know, yes. But, I mean, come on, the difference is significant. I mean, that's kind of how he refers to it, Gilliam himself. But with us today, returning to the program, Mr. Matt Rose. Welcome back, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. This was a, we go around when we decide who we're going to be talking about for the next series of films, and Gilliam came up. Almost everyone was like, Time Bandits, which really surprised me. You kind of rose to the top of that heap because you gave us fewer options otherwise. This was one people had opinions on, feelings about, wanted to talk about, which, considering the films he's made, I was kind of like, that one, really? I mean, I like it, but, I wasn't aware this had a stickiness to it, but it seems to, or at least with a certain cohort of people.
Yeah. So why this one?
Because I saw this one theatrically back in 1980. My dad took myself and a couple of my friends to go see it. And I remember that experience mainly because I remember my dad hating the movie. And we had, my friends and I, we had kind of differing opinions as far as, I think overall we liked it, but there were certain elements of it that we liked more than others. And I'm sure we'll be talking about that here momentarily. But more than anything, I remember my dad, after we dropped off, my friends going, man, you liked that, huh? I'm like, yeah, I kind of did. All right, well, and I've watched it a few times since, and it was fun watching it again last week with my wife, who had never seen it. So I got to experience it through her eyes too. So some of the opinions I'll be sharing will probably be hers as well.
That's interesting. I mean, I think your dad got off lucky considering the bullshit that I made my father watch as a child. I remember taking him to like Leslie Nielsen films that were not Naked Gun movies, a lot of those, like just the absolute worst shit. And he had to just watch it because I wouldn't shut up about, I know I must see Repossessed in theaters,
Well, I talked him into taking us to see Right Stuff. And that was one where he came out of that going, that was one of the best movies he had ever seen. He was like, good suggestion on that one. So I got it right every once in a while.
Were you terribly bored? Because,
No, I loved it.
Okay, fair enough.
Loved it.
I watched that movie now, and I'm like, this is an adult film. I like it, too.
Oh, very much so. No, back then, and I was, again, I saw it theatrically. I was absolutely rapt attention the entire time. And that was another one where a couple of my friends went along, and we all loved it. Mm-hmm. So,
John, was this a TV staple for you? Was this a cable?
Not really. I came to this a little later, actually. I was probably, in my late teens when I watched this movie. It was after I'd discovered Gilliam and watched probably all the other things he'd released up to this point. Well, not Jabberwocky, but, all the other ones. This was kind of just filling in the gaps on this. So I don't have that sort of, childhood relationship with this movie.
Yeah, me too. I can't, filling in the gaps in my 20s. And so I feel like I can recognize that this is a good movie, but it kind of missed me on a fundamental level coming to it as an adult. Like,
interesting. Okay.
There's stuff in it that's great.
Right.
I mean, namely David Warner.
Yeah.
Is is a phenomenal transcendent comedy villain. I think, if we go back and re-record our best comedy villains episode from several years ago, I would add him to the list probably.
Well, not just Warner though, but the people around him, Benson and the other guys. I could watch a whole movie of just these guys. Every time they come on the screen, the film just absolutely comes alive. And then there's many vignettes where things work, and then there's a lot of dead air too, where things just don't sing.
That's the thing.
I really liked it. I always kind of liked it. I was always very positive on the film, but I'm rewatching it this week. I think I liked it more than I ever have. Honestly, I was really taken by this week.
See, and I think when the movie works, it absolutely works just great. And it's usually when you have a small vignette, where somebody gets to just go nuts or whatever. David Warner's on the screen, but then you have the Napoleon sequence, which feels interminable, and it's complete dead air. I
enjoyed that.
It goes on and on and on with him talking about how tall people are, and there isn't a single funny moment there. Come on.
You have Ian Holm doing a pretty good performance, actually.
He's funny, right? Yeah.
It's just, you're right. He's given one joke to do for the entire stretch.
Yeah.
And there's not much else going on there. For as much as this is Terry Gilliam's first quote unquote real narrative movie or whatever, it's still a series of sketches.
Well, very much so.
Let's call it episodic, perhaps. But it's a series of episodes with celebrity cameos mostly, and those episodes live in kind of on the strength of those celebrity cameos. So I think the John Cleese Robin Hood one is wonderful. I love it.
Yeah.
He's hilarious to me in that. His take on Robin Hood is just kind of a brilliant Monty Python
thing.
I'm
Hood. He plays it with that detached British arrogant jolly good.
What I heard is that his take on it was he is a member of the British royal family, meeting a soccer clubs in the locker room or whatever, and this sort of just
see that
well-meaning but just unable to relate to normal people. I mean, not that I guess football stars are normal people, but even detached from that, and he nails that
totally. Take. That's a great. I'm glad to hear that, because that's spot on. Now that you mention it like that, it's just great.
I really like Ian Holm in this. I think he's my favorite
Holm is not the
star celebrity. Fair enough. Okay, should we, pull back a little just to explain what this is? Because, again, I think this movie is falling through the cracks a little bit. As we get farther away from the 80s, there's so many fantasy films jockeying for position. I don't know if this one has the staying power that some of the others do, because, it's weirder than a lot of them.
That's kind of an odd thing to say when last year there was an entire streaming series reboot of this one.
Oh, it fell on its face so hard.
Yeah, we live in such a weird time where you can have a major media company do a streaming series based on your 40-year-old fantasy film, and it still has fallen through the cracks as that's happening. That's Willow.
That's weird.
Right.
Also another thing from the 80s with little people protagonists that got a streaming series reboot that didn't work.
Yeah. I'm waiting for them to do a streaming series on Dragon Slayer, to be all honest with you. And considering that was a Disney product, that seems to me like something they could make, that they could do something great with.
Because none of these
especially
work.
if they went old school with it.
Because no one watches them. They're not going to do any more of these.
Yeah.
But that's not stopping them. That's
not
the thing. That's not the thing that's stopping. That's the weird thing. But yeah. We can talk about the streaming series a little later on. Actually, I did watch it over the last weekend. Pretty easy watch. I liked it, but
I heard it's okay. I didn't see it myself, but I heard it's okay.
It's a full remake of the film, which I thought was really surprising. But anyway, could you explain what this is a little bit? I mean, it's sort of an adventure through history and time. As seen through the eyes of a little British kid who, gets sort of kidnapped almost, or is it just sort of he's sort of a willing captive with a crew of time traveling dwarf thieves. As we get to learn more about them. They are, sort of the God's henchmen. The sort of the blue collar work that God relies on to build creation and maintain it. They've stolen a map of all time and space, and they're traveling throughout history, stealing things.
Well, the map specifically, it's a map of all the holes in time and space. Because as Randall, the lead bandit, explains to the boy, he says that the fabric of the universe is far from perfect. It was a bit of a botched job. We only had 7 days to make it, you see. And that, I was circling with a marker, okay, here's Terry Gilliam's view of the world and the universe, sort of distilled down here. That there is a grand plan. It's a bit of a botched job.
It's a very Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy kind of Douglas Adams kind of riff to set things up. Yeah, I agree.
Oh, this is incredibly British in its sensibilities. I mean, you've mentioned Al thinking, literally believing him to be a British man, and it makes so much sense when this is the kind of film he makes, which is so plainly built on British culture and built on living there, and has such direct ties and tone similarities to Hitchhiker's Guide and also Doctor Who, which, really becomes apparent when you watch the TV show, where it's just this could be another version of Doctor Who.
Interesting.
And
it kind of is. I wonder if that actually is one of the things that hurt the TV show. That
maybe
people were like, no, this is you're doing a goofier version of Doctor Who, but I think Doctor Who's already fairly goofy. So that's
I mean, people would have had to have heard about it and watched it for that to have heard it, I suppose. But who can say? I really like this though as a premise, and it seems kind of opens the door for endless invention and opportunity for storytelling, for episodic adventures. That you can go anywhere, do anything, meet this week's famous person. It does seem like a good television show premise or a good film premise in this case. I like the design aesthetic, more everything's dirty again, they've got, all the dwarves are wearing pieces of costumes and weaponry that they've acquired through history. So there's, the leader's got, the sort of aviator costume, and, some of them's got Viking helmets or Confederacy caps, and they're carrying AR-15s and 6-shooters and bandoliers. It's just a mishmash of everything. They've collected as they sort of cross throughout all existence.
I think conceptually, it's a great concept. And I think it says something about it that you get a movie, less than 10 years later, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, which essentially takes us in a different way, but the underlying concept is so strong that they use it there, and I'd say, it'd be interesting to talk to the screenwriters of Bill and Ted and see how much they were inspired by something like Time Bandits.
It feels like a direct line to me, with the way they use the famous personages in that.
Right.
Some of them the same ones. Napoleon again.
Napoleon, exactly. Absolutely. Although I think they do Napoleon better in Bill and Ted, but that's neither.
You guys are hard on this Napoleon, but sure.
No, it is almost like just an American remake of the British version of a thing that you see with other, with Death at a Funeral, or. I guess they remade Arthur, but he was still a British person in that role.
Yeah, but that was a very American feeling film.
Yeah, well, I didn't see it, so I don't know. But that's that's one of the better types of remakes, I guess, is just doing either a British version of an American thing or an American version of a British thing. It's you can do kind of the same thing, but with enough of a different flavor that it doesn't feel as bad as the worst remakes do.
Right. It's a really, really strong underlying concept that you're going to build something around. And, even Bill and Ted in many ways is very much based upon little vignettes every time they go back. Some of them, when they go pick up Joan of Arc, it's like a 15-second scene. But when they go and pick up Billy the Kid, they go and pick up Napoleon, they get a full vignette, and that's definitely, I think, a direct lift from this.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting, because I would say that Bill and Ted feels like it actually has more of a consistent plot momentum to it, narrative thrust to it. But one thing it's also lacking conspicuously compared to Time Bandits is a villain as strong as David Warner's pure evil in Time Bandits. And I would think having a stronger villainous presence would be the thing that gives you that narrative momentum and cohesion more. But that does not seem to be how it took out.
No, they have a time limit constraint in Bill and Ted. That's they're racing against the clock versus trying to defeat a villain. Although I suppose Bernie Casey would kind of be a villain of sorts. Yeah, obviously, the second Bill and Ted movie, you have an actual firm villain with Denomalos.
Yeah, Chuck Denomalos, of course, yes. Who's doing kind of David Warner stuff, actually. That's a similar Saturday morning cartoon villain there. I mean, look, I got to say, I think Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure is kind of an excellent movie, like kind of a masterpiece of what they're doing.
And Bogus Journey for me, both of them. I like Bogus Journey actually more, but I think they're both, yeah. Just
the conceptual hook of, we have to give these guys a time machine so they can pass their test, so history will turn out okay, is just a great conceit, as is the, and frankly, the, getting everyone together for a big history report lesson at the end is really funny, too. It's just a brilliant, inventive film. And yeah, I would say probably the most indebted to Time Bandits of any of the antecedents. There's plenty that I feel like when we get to Gilliam inspired films, we're going to have, no end of things to talk about. Just visual motifs alone. But yes, I think you probably have that without this film. Maybe it's just that there's so much you're drawing from, but this is clearly a popular idea for a kid's adventure movie. I think, and what I like about this one is it does have that British sensibility. Like this is, these not just in, that it resembles other British things, but the kid is fascinated by history and literature in a dorky way. Like his parents are just sort of these sentient lumps, and watching the game show starring Jim Broadbent, and where he's like wants to talk about, I don't know, like Treasure Island or whatever, pure dork stuff. But the movie is kind of not dorky while that's going on. It's scummy and immoral, like it's about anti-heroes. So it's not being as dorky as the kid protagonist is, which is kind of a fascinating. Well, that's the weird touch that nobody else really does. That it can be excited about literature and also be kind of an asshole about it.
Well, he's
excited about literature. It's not excited about people.
Right. But I mean, it's interesting, when you talk about the parents in the game show, it's all a riff on over consumerism. They're also concerned about having the latest gadgets and whatnot, and it seems like, it feels like he just scratching the surface. Gilliam is just scratching the surface. He's realizing this isn't the main plot, but I'm going to get some digs in on consumerism here. Just with the parents and such.
Well, it's a natural
contempt. Yes.
foil too for the kid to be defined by how he's a history nerd. That makes sense for your protagonist of this time traveling adventure, and then for him to be at odds with his parents, they have to be, sort of blind and deaf to history and just interested in the newest modern thing for its own sake. That also fits right into Gilliam's preoccupations, I'd say, with consumerism, like you're talking about.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the direct line to Brazil is being established already. Like, that's the next film he makes. And it seems obvious that they were both kind of coming out of the same primordial moment of creation in a way. I believe this got pushed in front of Brazil because it was an easier sell, kind of. So they were both being developed concurrently. And yeah, you can see his sort of open contempt for a lot of modernity and just sort of the pettiness and stupidity of I don't know, regular people. He's sort of an aggressive guy. The Jim Broadbent game show is really something. It's
straight out of The Running Man.
Yeah,
but, British.
Very much so.
It's British Running Man. It's very malevolent, which is almost a little bit undisciplined, I think, on Gilliam's part, because it's trying to be grotesque and banal at the same time. That's tough. That's a really hard thing to pull off.
Right. Well, it's absurd. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you need somebody to walk that tightrope, I think Jim Broadbent's as good as you're going to find.
Oh, yeah. He's perfect. He's like a Simpsons character in this. Yeah. He's
a quick sidebar there. I was watching this, and when he showed up, I feel like I'd never seen Jim Broadbent,
young,
under the age of 60. And my first thought was, is Mark Gatiss a Highlander?
That's true.
Eerie, the resemblance there. Really, and then I watched the Time Bandits streaming series. Mark Katniss shows up as the Earl of Sandwich, and like it really is uncanny. They look. Are they not related somehow? Is that just what British people look like?
I think you're right, though. I think Gaddis is the modern Broadbent. I think you would have to
very
say.
much so.
Yes, that's spot on. Yeah. So we kind of leave all them alone for a while, though. We'll get back to the parents, obviously, in the scheme of things, but we get out of there pretty quick. Yeah.
Well, you have that great opening scene where he's in bed and the night comes through and demolishes his room, and then you go and it disappears off into the woods. His walls disappeared and all that, and then you're like, okay, what just happened? The parents come in. What was all that noise? What a great way to kick things off, just from an imagination standpoint. And then having him go to the wall and he's got that picture there, of the night, which kind of clues you in on a little bit of something else that's touched on later thematically. Is this all actually going on, or is it in his head and all that? But I remember seeing that scene in the movie theater way back when, going, all right, that was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely in a continuum of fantasies from the Wizard of Oz. It goes through Labyrinth of.
I mean, he's coming out of a wardrobe there,
right?
Very, very British.
Narnia. Is this all in the kid's head? And then there's indications that maybe it was real all along, or whatever. And that's the thing you can play with. I mean, the indications here are pretty strong until the very end. There's giant Lego blocks that are making up the Fortress of Ultimate Darkness.
And right when he wakes up in bed and he's got all the smoke, you have a very brief blink and you miss it thing, but on the ground there, with amongst all his toys, he has that entire diorama of that final battle with evil. But it's literally like blink and you miss it, but it's all right there to make you go, all right, well then this was just him playing around with it until obviously what else happens.
Yeah, I mean, he gets up we're 3 minutes into the movie when the knight jumps out of the wall, which is nice. Right. I like that we don't have like a really long extended first act of like him having brushes with increasing weirdness before like on the fifth night that bandits actually show up. It gets pretty much right into it. But he gets up after the night dream and goes right over to the night picture and looks at it. Like it's not all embedded in the background. There's a Robin Hood picture right next to the night picture there on the wall.
Yep.
But I don't know. Do you guys view the end of this as it was real? Is that the general view?
I hadn't really considered that it wouldn't be. I mean, that is interesting. I mean, how much little Wizard of Oz clues he puts in there, but I mean, it's a pretty decisive finale for this film.
Oh yeah, I mean it's blue sky on Mars to a certain degree, but then it's pretty overt. When he actually finds that he's got the Polaroids, and then his parents die. Which I'm assuming we'll get to at a later point, because I don't like how that ends.
Oh, we're going to talk about that for sure.
Yeah,
I guess it would have to be a dream within a dream at that point. But okay, right? We can put that off if you want to.
I don't know. I mean, we do like talking about the ending first, but no, I think that the whiplash of that ending, I'd like to set up.
You can talk about it now and then time travel back to however you want to do it. Okay, so we know what Matt's least favorite vignette is, which is Napoleon.
Mm-hmm.
I would have to. I don't know. Napoleon and the Agamemnon part, as good as Sean Connery is, again, it's the celebrity cameos are really good in both of those.
Yes,
but also that's like, oh, here's one where like the jokes and the gags kind of fall away, and it's just sincere stuff with. I guess I have to say, there's a sound like an asshole. I don't care about this kid. I don't like this kid performer that much.
I don't think Terry Gilliam cares about this kid, to be honest.
No, the kid's
no, that's one of the better parts of the movie is that
it.
the time bands themselves don't like fall in love with this kid that much until the very end, maybe.
Well, I think that's what the film is ultimately, for better or for worse, is the time bandits themselves are what is driving this and what is exciting about it. And, you get to hang out with Sean Connery for 10 minutes, I suppose. But really, it seems like the heat is with the dwarves, with these characters, specifically David Rappaport as Randall, the lead dwarf. I think he's kind of the character that Gilliam is most invested in,
Absolutely.
or maybe evil. I don't know, but
Well,
Rappaport, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you have two main dwarves really that are distinctive. You have Michael Rappaport, you have Randall, and you have Wally.
Not Michael.
Not Michael. Yeah, I'm sorry, David Rappaport. Yeah, forgive me. Yeah, no, but I mean, yeah, but you have Randall. The two that stand out the most are Randall and Wally. Wally mainly because he's the more aggressive and he's the bigger one, and for the feats of strength, he's kind of reliant on doing things. Everyone else is kind
he's
of.
also just got the best, most expressive face, I would say.
Yes. Okay. That's a great way of putting it as well, too. But, you have them, and the kid is essentially there to just, I don't want to say the kid is an agent of chaos. He's like an agent of order amongst all the chaos because he's trying to rein. It seems like he's there to try and rein things in from being a little bit too chaotic.
So that's part of the thing. I think maybe why it's hard, especially as coming to it as an adult, to like really invest in this kid is that he's kind of the wet blanket.
Yeah.
For you.
But he needs to be, he needs to be
he's a straight
what's
man.
going on, you guys, that kind of thing. Because otherwise it's just nothing but them doing knee bent, running about, scurrying with the yakety sax going off in the background, in a lot of the cases here.
That's what he loves, though. That's the thing. That's where his investment is. I find the kid to be like an audience surrogate. I'm fine with that. Like he's the kid, you kind of, as a child watching it, I think you're intended to kind of insert yourself in that role. He doesn't have a lot of personality beyond like he cares about the right things in Gilliam's opinion. And, is kind of, it's sort of a modern sensibility of right and wrong, which is generally approved of, I suppose, even as the film is way more invested in, these mythological dwarves being scummy and nasty to one another.
I think you're right that about like, okay, the kid cares about the right things from Gilliam's perspective. But it's interesting how like that does not make Gilliam that invested in him or like invested in investing us in that kid. It saves the kid from open contempt of the film.
That's fair.
But like this kid, like, his parents kind of suck, but he's not putting on enough he's not, a Harry Potter figure. Like, oh, this poor schmuck.
No,
like
we are not enamored of the kid is the thing.
Yeah.
Like he's not, we don't care exactly.
Well, I think the Agamemnon scene is there to make you care about the kid. I don't think it's entirely successful, but the whole Agamemnon's easy to say. The Sean Connery scene. I'm going to say that.
I think it's just a mean joke, personally.
I think that whole scene is really there to kind of give him a father, a parent surrogate, and build up some sympathy for him because his parents are established to be pretty worthless in that opening 3 minutes.
But they're there, like they're not actually abusive of him. I mean,
he's a latchkey kid.
They're dismissive.
They're absent.
And by the standards of the early 1980s as well, being a latchkey kid was not tantamount to abuse.
Right.
This is the era when bullies are attempting murder on a regular basis. And like, looking at the streaming series, like, they have more time to work with, partially, but you kind of see them going a more conventional route, including some scenes of the kid being bullied at school and see a little more of the dreariness of his home life or whatever, and making him a little more conventionally put upon to make him more conventionally sympathetic.
Well, he deliberately. I mean, he's a pretty slight kid. I think that's a deliberate choice. I don't think the kid's necessarily is bad in this. I meant to look to see if he actually did anything else, but I think for what Gilliam's wanting the movie to be, I think the kid's actually pretty perfect. He has the right delivery and the right amount of innocence and tininess, slightness, if you will, to be spot on. I think he's great casting.
Well, I tried to identify the weaker parts of this movie, and it is never the performances. It's not Ian Holm. It's not Sean Connery. It's not necessarily the kid. But for as much as we're saying this is a great concept for a movie, it's also difficult in some ways to have these sketches feel like they have a narrative momentum, and to, I guess maybe going off what John was talking about earlier, it's that Terry Gilliam's mindset, his view is an odd, sometimes ugly match with a child adventure story.
I feel like the kid is, again, I'm going to say, I don't think we're meant to really worry about him as a character so much as use him as the self-insert. Like, this is the adventure that Gilliam would have liked to have had as a kid, perhaps.
Right.
To go and see magic things, and Agamemnon's your dad, and you get to ride on the Titanic and things like that, and just sort of the fantasy of it, is way more important than the characterization or the journey the kid takes. Like, I would say, I'd say he doesn't care about the kid, and I think he literally doesn't. Like, at the end of the film, is just like, fuck off, kid. Figure it out. Like,
you're hosed.
There's no real arc per se that is followed. There's nothing that is gained or learned. And I don't necessarily think, if you coming out at a macro view and looking at does this work? I mean, maybe you could say no, but that weird ambiguity and sort of aloof attitude toward its protagonist is kind of something that makes this movie special to me.
Yeah.
No, that's
and I don't think that ending
like this.
works.
Yeah. I'm certainly open to that as an opinion because it's a wild swing. But no, I mean, he cares about the dwarves showing up, like pouring out of the wardrobe, like the beginning of The Hobbit, British fantasy, again,
right?
Pushing the wall and the magical.
I love pushing the wall.
Stuff like that is where his interests are, and it's striking, and it takes you, and you look at it, and you're just like, whoa, that's sort of activating. Even if I didn't see this as a kid, that's the stuff that really, kind of feels like the reason for the film, the exciting part, and the thing that sticks in your memory and defines your memory of Time Bandits as a premise.
But I want to touch on that. Pushing that wall is such a great scene when they're pushing that, and I love the set design there, how you got the wallpaper continuing down that corridor. That's very Gilliam in terms of overbuilding sets, which I always kind of love about him. That level of detail that he has. But it's just such a great fantasy element, that there's that, and then the wall falls away, and meanwhile you got the Supreme Being phase, return the map, what a great image that is. That whole sequence is just great.
This is what I'm talking about when I talk about him leveling up as a director, is just the way he stages things, the visuals. And yes, the lo-fi special effects are kind of the thing that you first notice, but it's the way it's photographed too. It is so provocative and so engaging and really gets a hold on you, Like, we're looking at a lot of, similar locations to what we've seen in the Python films or Jabberwocky, the Middle Ages, Morocco, looks very Life of Brian. It all has more weight to it here. It's all photographed in a more interesting way, and is integrated into the narrative in a more impressive fashion. I think this is this is his fascinations, kind of getting their full voice.
You look at the Napoleon sequence and the production design and all the clutter and stuff around. And I'm very much reminded of a lot of elements from Baron Munchausen, which is
he loves clutter.
And
he also loves theater. Like characters performing, and he loves gigantic rolling set pieces, that are now out of fashion. Outdated theatrical troops. I mean, that sequence is actors trying to survive a war, which is very Munchausen as well. And Parnassus will touch on that too. That he keeps coming back to that. Just he loves the proscenium stage, and loves people like having to perform for their lives. Is the thing that happens over and over again.
I just wish that scene were funnier. It's just once they get to France, it's just things happening and there's not a whiff of laughter.
I'm little things hitting each other.
Which does nothing. Yeah, I mean, just and it's 20 minutes of Ian Holm talking about how tall people are. I know it's not 20 minutes. It just feels like 20 minutes.
It feels long.
He's getting shit faces like Charlemagne was actually quite short too. I love all that. I think it's funny.
It's amusing for 30 seconds, and then it just goes on and on and on.
I feel like it would be more amusing if somehow, like Kevin the Bandits, like the focus was they were interacting with his generals or the theater director or some people that were dealing with him, and Napoleon was sort of more on the periphery, rambling about people's height constantly and getting drunker. than just sitting at the table with him while he just lists off names for that long. But we've now belabored that point enough. Probably.
Yeah, it's 10
How do we-
minutes of the film. It's
Yeah.
okay.
From there, we have the Robin Hood thing, which I think is my favorite, and then and it has the most Python element probably.
It's very Python.
Oh, totally.
When he says he's handing out. I do love the line by the way. Just you must meet the poor. Have you met the poor? Oh, I'm sure you'll love them. They're most wonderful. But they're handing out the loot to the poor, but also as they distribute them, the big giant guy is just socking all the poor people in the face as they go away.
It's hysterical.
Which is such a Python thing. Underexplained.
My wife pretty much did a spit laugh on that first punch. Just where did that come from? It was funny to watch that. That was when the movie got her. It was at
I love it.
that particular scene.
It's such a big, broad thing, physical comedy thing to be doing. It's, kind of out of Airplane, if not Monty Python.
Yeah.
But I love the restraint of not over explaining sort of the satiric gag of that. That this, which I'm sure it is intended as some sort of commentary on Thatcherite England, if not Reagan's America, and now the way that any social service has to be paired with a punishment, fine, I guess we'll feed you, but we do have to publicly humiliate you somehow. We do.
Yeah. God, I thought she was that hit. She was not expecting that. Watching her just literally do a spit laugh on that first punch, and then when they do the insert and it's an old lady, and you go, "Oh, they're not going to punch her, are they?" Yep. Just lays her out.
Cleese stops and be like, is this fully necessary? And the guy, just grunts some British gibberish at him and has to have it translated. Oh, he says yes, he's afraid it is, sir. And Cleese just accepts that because he's an upper class twit. And he's like, oh, well, this is the way things are done, I suppose. That
on the commentary track, apparently, they say that guy apparently had dialogue, and it was an actor's choice to be indecipherable.
Great choice.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah. It's definitely one of the funniest moments of the entire film. That absolutely is.
That doesn't involve David Warner. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is also where we get into the Shelley Duvall and Michael Palin thing, whatever this is. Also very Monty Python-esque, I would say, which is sort of this strange little drips having an unsatisfying romantic relationship across time.
And his problems.
But am I wrong? They appear in the Robin Hood thing, and then in the Titanic.
There should be a third one. Yes,
there should be a third
one. Rule of 3, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Must have been cut.
That's what I'm wondering. I was wondering that too. I thought, because I seem to remember that they showed up 3 times, and again, it had been a long time since my last viewing on this, and obviously I was in error. But it feels like you're missing a third appearance.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they show up 3 times in that we see them as we're entering the Robin Hood time, and then they pass them again as they're leaving the Robin Hood time. But they're still tied to the same tree.
I think the conceit makes more sense if they do indeed show up in a third time period, though.
Yes.
For certain.
But then you need an escalation of it, the bit somehow.
Yeah. Right.
I'm not sure what that is.
Mm-hmm.
So then we get to the Titanic, which is, fine. There's not... they don't have a strong take on the Titanic the way they do Robin Hood.
I love how cheap the set looks, though, for the Titanic thing. That, to me, that is a lot of charm. When they hit the iceberg, the whole set just... boom, tilts. I love that. That was another great, just boom, we'll just throw it on the gimbal and hit it. It just feels very mechanical and very cheap. I liked that.
The abruptness of the shot, I mean, I guess just coming out, maybe this wasn't such a thing at the time. But now after we've seen Titanic, where, James Cameron elaborately, slowly sinks the Titanic over 90 minutes, just the abruptness of the cut to the back of the ship sinking in down. From it's like iceberg, ship's down, and now we're in the water.
And they're not freezing in the water too. By the way, they're deliberately hanging there onto the Titanic sign, just floating like there's not a problem in the world in sub-zero water. But
that's the type of movie this is.
Right. That's the kind of movie. Yeah.
What I love about the Titanic scene is the scene between Randall and Kevin, the kid, Kevin. They have an actual honest to God dialogue scene about their perspectives. And I think that Rappaport really sells it. It's the best character moment he gets in the film.
Absolutely.
Well, that's his best scene. Yeah. The way his prop work there with his martini and his cigar is great.
Yeah. It's fantastic. Yeah. God, he's such an engaging actor in this. Like, I was wondering why, like, what happened to this guy? It's actually quite sad. Did you see this?
Mr. Wizard.
I know he offed himself eventually.
Yeah, he killed himself in Hollywood. He was shooting an episode of Star Trek The Next Generation. He was mid-shoot. He shot half the thing, went home and killed himself.
Yeah.
And they replaced him with Saul Rubinek. But this guy clearly had the goods, you know. Apparently most of these guys were Ewoks at one point or another. Yeah, well, at one specific point, I guess.
Kenny Baker.
And yeah, R2-D2 is one of them too, yeah.
Yeah.
But Rappaport is clearly like the actor of the group and the one with a lot of magnetism and charisma who could do things. And I don't know, I almost feel like if he'd hung out a little longer, you know, his shit might have come in.
Well,
or you know, he would have been in Willow.
Mr. Wizard.
I don't know.
Right? Yeah, I know. I mean, it's Warwick Davis came along, and I guess they would have had to.
He looks and sounds like Warwick Davis. He really
yeah.
does look and sound like him. So that is a thing. Yeah.
But again, yeah, I mean, I think the big attempt to make something happen for David Rappaport was with that TV show, Mr. Wizard, that didn't end up taking off. And I think that the failure of that, I think, contributed to his depression. You know, like, you know, what is my career? What is my life? You know, and all that. It's pretty sad. But yeah, he's clearly the most developed of the dwarves, and he's also probably the most developed of the characters in the entire film. You know, yes. Randall's the guy. You know, everyone else is there to support Randall. And again, the only other dwarf that really has anything that really stands out is Wally. You have the one
Vermin has his bit.
Yes, they've all got bits, but right. But no, he's clearly the Thorin of the group. You know, he's the one with an arc and a character and a relationship with the protagonist. So,
and it's more striking because, kind of like we were talking about earlier, Kevin, the kid protagonist, is not as developed of a character as Bilbo Baggins is, and
certainly not.
So the Thorin character looms even larger in this version of it. It is that is, I guess, interesting. What makes this such a weird Terry Gilliam thing? I guess lack of humanism, is that?
That's a thing. I mean, he's very into that. Yes, I mean, he has a quite a track record of asshole protagonists as we go through these. Like it's a big thing. I don't think that lack of humanism is maybe not the right word because. He will occasionally shock you with the depth of his humanism, like every now and then. But like for the most part, you know,
I feel like he's. And now I'm like jumping forward and thinking like maybe this is why he was a good fit for Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. But his humanism manifests in outrage at what all the systems of human civilization do to dehumanize people. But also he does not think highly of people on an individual level. And that is kind of what saves a lot of it, actually, for me. What makes it palatable. Like, they were talking about the kid. Oh, he's got the right, preoccupations to meet Gilliam's approval. But he still doesn't, like, lionize anybody. And I think that's what makes some of the stuff that would come off as misanthropy come off better. Or like it doesn't come off as classist, say, when he will have the lower classes come off kind of shitty, because it's not like the upper classes are any better. Or his swipes at the upper classes too are stronger because it's not that the lower classes are the saintly, salty earth people that can do no wrong.
No, certainly not. He does have classist stuff that will come up, though. Like eventually, like he definitely doesn't super love the rich people or wealthy people or the upper crust. You know, they come up for the chop quite a few times going forward. I mean, Brazil is next, for God's sakes. But he's not
John Steinbeck when it comes to the lower classes.
No, they're grubby and bad. They're and selfish and petty and all these things all the time.
And they aspire to be the upper class themselves. That's all they want.
I think the only character that I can think of, well, at least the first one that I can think of, a character that he really, really loves is the Robin Williams character in Fisher King.
Fisher King is like such a significant film in the filmography because of the stuff it's doing there. Speaking of another actor who who struggled greatly with depression and ended his life. I mean, it's Robin fucking Williams. That movie is watching that now is quite potent.
It really is. I just watched. Yeah, TCM had it like 6 months ago, and we ended up watching it. Marvelous film. But yeah, it is. I mean, you look at it now, and with the retrospect of what happened, absolutely, it takes on a gravitas that you would not have given it back then.
Yeah, but that's all future. Like, he does not have that in him when he's making Time Bandits. He is still this is like this is the movie for me where he figures it all out, because you can see all the the episodic nature of it, and sort of the haphazardness, and sort of the disinterest in character arcs and things like that have been his movies up to this point. The medieval satires that he has made up to this point. The canvas is getting wider here. We're trying new stuff. We're getting more complicated. And something that we talked about in Jabberwocky was how it's a lot of like actors kind of just doing Python sketches and feeling lesser for it. I think he kind of cracks the code on how to do that here. Specifically, what I'm going to bring up is the scene with the ogre and his wife, Catherine Hellman, which is...
Love that scene.
Yeah, it's lovely. It's really nice little scene. It's totally great. Written as a Python sketch. It is a sort of a Brothers Grimm version of a Python sketch with an ogre and his wife, and they're just be like, "Oh, what are we gonna do with these little guys? Cook them up. Oh, that's nice."
But the same stuff we talked about with Grail and Jabberwocky. It's sort of inserting contemporary, British suburbanisms into that mythological context.
Yes.
Medieval context, as it might be.
But he could have gone the safe route and have cast this with Python members. You could easily have had like Terry Jones play the ogre and Connie Cleveland, or one of the other Pythons in drag play the wife.
Terry Jones would have been
Terry Jones as the wife would have worked.
You could have done that. And to his credit, they're non-Pythons. And not only that, he's got Catherine Hellman in there, who's an American, and they just kill it. That whole scene is stupendous.
They have sexual chemistry, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Like a lot of it.
Like the little nudges, like, oh, you're yelling at them? Oh, yeah. Oh, And then you had the whole thing about his bad back. I mean, the only duff element in that whole thing is when later on when the giants walk in and you have that little poorly done little thing that he steps on, where they're arguing in gibberish and all that. That would have been a good scene to have had a third instance of Michael Palin and Shelley Duvall arguing there, and then the ogre step on it. That would have been a great instance of that. As it is right there, that falls pretty flat. But everything else is just marvelous.
Just little muttering weirdos like Fraggle Rock joke. It's very weird.
Yeah. But that would have been a great Palin Duvall scene.
You're right
there.
And the way I think you do it is have it, you like see them and he is like on his first line and doesn't even get it out. And it's just like, you get the thing with them by now, right? Just go step.
Right.
That is I don't know. I kind of like that. Maybe it's just the visual of the giant wearing the ship as a hat, coming out of the water, covered in tattoos. It's just like, well, this is interesting. This is different. That's right. quite a visual. And I've seen people kind of reference it, and I always think of I often think of Time Bandits when I see giants in movies, because this is sort of a definitive one, I feel like.
I did see somebody cosplay as that giant one time.
That's a good one.
The hat and
that's
everything
a good one
time, and it was great.
You've got to be either a really large dude or a really small person to pull that costume off, I think, as a cosplay.
Yeah, you have to have a very specific look, that wouldn't... Mm-hmm. And a courage about it, no doubt.
That's true, because it's all loincloth in public is what you're going to be wearing all night.
No, he wasn't wearing a tattered shirt or anything like that, but it was pretty much almost like a tank top, kind of a tattered tank top, and he was wearing actual trousers that were all ripped and all that. But he had the tattoo. I mean, he had actual tattoos, but he had the whole thing, and he had made up his face right. The hat looked great. The hat ship looked great. I mean, it was you looked at him and you immediately knew exactly what he was doing. And it was great.
Right.
God, that was a long time ago.
It's quite a look. It sticks with you. Yeah. All right. I don't know. We kind of touched on Connery, kind of skipped over that Mycenae section. I think he's funny in this. I think it's nice to see him playing like maybe the only really good guy in the movie. It's not usually what you would call on Sean Connery to play the nice dude.
It's kind of against type for him to play the warm fatherly figure.
Mm-hmm.
He's there. Yeah, he's the father figure. Absolutely.
And he's having fun, which I also don't always associate with Connery, but he seems to really be enjoying himself, which is nice to see. Like he's, one of those actors who's kind of pissed off to be in most movies sometimes. He certainly seems angry to be James Bond half the time, but in this, he's just like, I'm having the time of my life. It's great.
Yeah, but it feels underwritten. The scene itself, I think, feels underwritten. I get what they're trying to do to establish him as another father figure, but it just feels like there's not enough meat to it. I think I don't know if they edited out a lot of stuff to kind of get things going for pacing purposes or what, but it just feels underwritten.
I do think you don't want to get stuck in any place longer than 10 minutes with this structure.
That's true.
Part of it. And so what it ends up being is it's all building to the sick joke, which is like the kid finally finds a place he wants to be, with a father who appreciates him and values him. Everything he ever wanted, and then the asshole dwarves show up and just take him away from it immediately, and that's the joke.
It's the kid version of the Castle Anthrax scene from Holy Grail.
Essentially,
Can't that face a little bit of peril? No, too peril.
Even still, like there's like Gilliam can't help himself from putting all sorts of grotesque shit in here. Like the Minotaur is really cool looking, in its lo-fi way. There's this moment. I mean, this is supposed to be the place that is like the only place that feels relatively safe in the movie, and it still doesn't. It's still dangerous. There's no safe havens. Even like the magical moments, like the boar splitting open and food pours out of it. It's creepy. It's like something out of Temple of Doom. So this is the kind of undisciplined kind of quality this movie has. That is, I think, both good and technically not very good. I still appreciate it. Anyway, just wanted to touch on that for a moment. We can get to what we really need to talk about here. David Warner performance.
Yes, the Fortress of Ultimate Darkness, the Stronghold of Pure Evil, and this is another part when I was rewatching it that I skipped over. It takes them so long to like get into the cage and get out of the cage. I'm like, just get me back to David Warner. I just want to.
I actually love that cage sequence. I think it's, you see them figure it out. I love that they shave the rope down to essentially being just a couple little strands. I forgot about that. A good little visual gag. But I think as an action sequence, if you want to call it that, or an adventure sequence, I think it's pretty effective and is paced pretty well. You go, once you realize what it is they're doing, you go, all right, it shows some intelligence on their part.
It does. The cutting the rope thing down is such a quintessentially Gilliam solution,
right?
Because it relates to how he constructs his worlds, and that the only way to even to fix anything in these worlds, it still involves taking a piece out of the Jenga tower over here that's going to cause a collapse.
Mm-hmm. Breaking things, essentially.
Right.
And you can do that because it's all analog. Everything is constructed and kind of hanging together based on duct tape and fishing line. So that's usually the answer, is to just break the thing. This is not the only characters trapped in a giant bird cage inside a black void in the Gilliam filmography either, and will be repurposed by Thor Ragnarok. Taika Waititi, a guy heavily inspired by Terry Gilliam.
I never realized that. That's a good wow. All right, I didn't realize that. That's a great reference there, John.
I wonder if we were to revisit Thor: Love and Thunder, if we would find more time bandits in it.
But who would want to revisit that though?
I do. I want to know. I'm going to check it out again one of these days before we finish.
Well, you should check. I mean, you should check out the Time Bandit streaming series because it was made by Taika Waititi and Jermaine Clement, and Jermaine Clement's an incredible.
Yes.
As somebody who can update and stand in the shadow of David Warner.
Brilliant.
Oh, he's evil.
Yeah,
Jermaine Clement's evil.
Yes.
All right, now I'll watch it. You sold me on it. That's all I needed to hear.
I mean,
okay.
he is perfect. He is the only person maybe who could kind of tilt at this role now in a way that matches Warner. Even still, I think Warner has the edge, though, man.
Warner is 10 out of 10. There is if there's a perfect performance in the film, it's Warner. It absolutely kills. And to Gilliam's credit, he surrounds him with these with these people that a lot of it feels like it's ad libs too, very British humor, but it's so every time he's on screen, the film just absolutely comes alive, and him talking to his underlings, Benson, I'm going to turn you into a dog now. Oh, thank you, master. That level of humor and the pitch perfect delivery and the timing of all the dialogue, it just sings. It's just so good.
My favorite part is in the earlier scene, he's already like zapped one of his underlings to death for insolence or whatever, and then
right.
he's railing against the supreme being and calling him incompetent or whatever, and one of his underlings pipes up to be like, or I don't know, the underling asks him a question, and he sort of like instinctively zaps that one too and blows him up, and then like immediately goes, it's a good question.
Right. Exactly.
Warner is a guy we've talked about on this show before. Oddly enough, the Titanic episode, and of course for his role
Baldur's Gate episode,
in Baldur's Gate. Yes,
Baldur's Gate 2, yes.
Playing the bad guy in that game. He plays a lot of bad guys, of course.
Tron.
But he is rarely given the opportunity to be this funny, because this is a full-on Monty Python performance here, and he's nailing it. It's really fun to see him doing that, because not everyone can.
Tell me again about digital watches.
That's great.
This is, I think, the best live-action Saturday morning cartoon villain performance I've ever seen.
He's
like without question. I think that's a tough thing to do. To play this kind of bad guy in live action is very difficult. I mean, I'm thinking like Frank Langella in the Masters of the Universe film is a good version of it too. But,
that's another one.
And it's a great costume.
When you start laying on
too.
3 and 4 modifiers, I'm like, I don't know if this is even praise anymore after like the second modifier. But actually,
it's a very
live action
thing.
Cartoon villain is a very specific thing. And you're right. I don't think it can be done any better than this.
But his costume is great too. And it looks kind of H.R. Giger-ish in certain spots. He's got the long fingernails. He's got everything that goes with it. It's just such a great. And then the production design of the castle around him. I don't know. I just love it. Yeah. I mean, I could watch a 90-minute movie of nothing but David Warner and his underlings. At that level, it'd be a great movie.
You're talking about like influences on this. I am pretty sure that Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the TV show, just kind of lifted the dynamic with Warner and his underlings here.
Yes,
for their like big bads, particularly in the first season. And that first season's pretty rough. And I think that one of the things that actually like carried it through and got it into the later seasons where it got really good was that dynamic worked so well. Like that's the thing in the first season that really keeps you going, even when some of the rest of it's pretty rough.
That is a specific reference, and I wonder if they would even be able to cop to that. But it is. I mean, you're not wrong. I definitely thought of it as well. It is a distinct flavor I've seen, and I mean, part of it is just it's him, kind of in one location, just ranting about shit while they look into a pool that shows them what's going on in the movie.
Yeah, and that's something. Yeah, you're going to see that in all. I guess a lot of the odd numbered seasons of Buffy, especially, have that dynamic with the villains.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he says some stuff that you could maybe be like, well, that's an inspiration on Beetlejuice, when all the shit that happens with his body in this, and he turns into like a Hellraiser carnival ride at one point,
right.
It kind of turns into a piece of technology himself when he's called upon to do it,
right?
Which is sort of his thing anyway. He loves modernity and technology.
Yeah, if we're talking about Gilliam influences, I'm amazed that we haven't mentioned Tim Burton at all in this series yet. Like that, he's definde're
just happened, and will happen again.
Yeah, I mean, but like when he's shooting out of his fingers, he's like cocking his fingers, and it's like there's little barrels of guns and stuff like that. It's just visually, it's just really, really great, good stuff.
Yep. So that's I mean, I don't know. That's the big final set piece of the film is the dwarves escaping from the castle and coming face to face with the evil genius, and then Ralph Richardson shows up as the supreme being version of God. He's fun. And he's just sort of a Deus Ex Machina, kind of just like, all right, enough of this film now. Let's finish this.
Stop that! It's silly. It's he's very much the Graham Chapman Colonel coming in there going, "Stop that! It's silly." Putting the proceedings on things, but the one thing I love,
of that.
Yes,
you're right. But
he's really funny.
But the one thing that I like about that final set piece, the big battle and all that, again, you have at that point it becomes apparent that this could be all in his mind, because you have obviously the Lego things that the pieces of the wall that are Legos. You have the backdrop, which looks like a chessboard, and the whole action sequence is the total thing that a 10-year-old kid would do if they had a whole bunch of toys together and was just banging them together. The random chaos of everything that goes on there, and it's as chaotic as it gets. It's pretty fun.
Your Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fighting your Transformers, and also throw your Green Army men in there too for whatever reason.
Right. It's the pure chaos of an imagination. Wouldn't it be cool if you did have cowboys and tanks, and here's my space, here's my Starbird. I'll bring it over here and incorporate it into this thing and have that in the battle too, and just make this whole big epic thing.
It's a little bit Toy Story almost, especially in the context of Wizard of Oz. And did this even happen? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's fun. I mean, look, the next two films are also these weird fantasy movies, adventures, and it sort of form a bit of a trilogy, because this is the one about childhood, Brazil is middle age, and Munchausen is about being old, and they're all fantasy adventures about imagination at those periods, and this is the purest kids fantasy moment of the film, probably. Beyond just the fun of the premise, and how appealing that would be to a child.
I do feel like we're kind of just brushing right over the whole, appearance and depiction of God in this movie, which I think is one of the things that could more succinctly sum up the whole Gilliam, ethos, which is that the supreme being of the universe is this kind of harried, a bit distracted bureaucrat that doesn't run the tightest ship, and mainly just doesn't want to be bothered, but acknowledges all the holes and flaws in his creation.
Mm-hmm. He's got a lot on his plate, kind of, is the vibe. And that, it feels like the only reason that this has gone on as far as it did, and the dwarves have been allowed to, it is all to a purpose. This is the master plan, I guess, is the reveal. Is like, no, man, we needed you to be in this place and bring the thing here so we could defeat evil once and for all, but not really.
No, not to defeat evil, to test evil.
Right.
That's kind of the amazing thing too, actually, about this to me. I guess from a theological perspective, that the Deus Ex Machina comes up and God is speaking to them and explaining how he allowed the plot of this movie to happen. You would expect, in more traditional narratives, for it the point to be that he was testing the protagonist, or he was testing
or even the dwarves.
The dwarves.
Yeah,
but no, he was using the protagonist and the dwarves to test evil, to test the devil.
Right. And I think it's funny, that if they're following his plan, if the dwarves did what he wanted, why does he dock their pay 19% going back retroactively to the beginning of time? It's like, we did what you wanted us to do, but no, well, it just seems so nice and bureaucratic.
Yeah. So I knew you were going to misstep, but yeah. Well, because he's a British schoolmaster and he still has to knock their knuckles with the ruler,
corporal,
even though they're doing exactly what they expect teenagers to do, but they still have to smack him around for it.
I love after he does that, is like, they thank him. He's like, well, I am the nice one. So good.
And just the general thing of why this? Like, why may as well ask why we have to have evil? And the dwarves are quick to be like, oh, we never have to something like that, sir. And then the boy does, but what? Yeah, why do we have to have evil? And he just blows him off and walks away, and then turns back quickly. And it's like, I think it's something to do with free will. I don't like.
Yeah,
the blow off of that.
Hand wave it, And it's funny to watch Richardson here and realize a year later he'd be playing the wizard in Dragon Slayer, and he kills it there too. But he has a lot of the same God characteristics there. That kind of
the
slight
all-knowing
flippancy. All knowing, but like a put on kind of dodginess.
Yeah.
A
Actually,
disarming
kind of
dodginess
interesting.
to him.
It's interesting. Dragon Slayer is kind of the same resolution in a way, which is like, oh, it was all my plan, Ralph Richardson.
Yeah.
Yeah, you all moved into the right position so I could come in and end the movie. I think it works better here simply because it's really unsatisfying in Dragon Slayer.
Oh, I think Dragon Slayer is nearly flawless. I love Dragon Slayer.
Oh, we would disagree on that. I like the dragon very much, but
Oh, really? Oh, God, I love Dragon Slayer.
We know what our next special report will be. Episode.
Okay, yeah, I'll join you on that one. But yeah, no, I think Dragon Slayer is amazing.
it has
Either way, but
elements. Like
Do we have anything about the actual final wrap up back in the real quote-unquote real world?
I mean, okay, yes. Of course. For starters, why is Sean Connery there? What's going on with that?
I don't even know what it could be suggesting.
I have no idea why he appears as a fireman in that last scene.
I mean, I suppose if you're taking the more like, you're trying to strip the magic out of this movie, which is
Not what's going on in this scene.
a weird way to approach the works of Terry Gilliam, really. But I guess I don't know. Brazil kind of lends off to that reading. But maybe you'd say, okay, this is a guy. He works at the fire station in the neighborhood or whatever, and Kevin has encountered him before and looks up to him previously.
Just a thoroughly impressive person. He's Sean Connery in his 30s. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why he projects that fireman's face onto Agamemnon in his dream fantasy.
You were there, and you were there, and you were there. Yeah.
But
except
that's not really how it's presented in the movie.
No, yeah, you get the wink.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I really am Agamemnon. Figure that out. Bye.
And I'm putting out fires.
Then how did Agamemnon become a firefighter? Like,
but
he wasn't a guardian angel. He was the king of Mycia. Like,
yeah,
he seemed to be a regular guy, the most regular guy in the movie in some ways.
Right.
Like, anyway, and then of course
the famous ending of Time Bandits. Yeah.
Yeah. He accidentally brought a chunk of blown up husk of pure evil back with him, and when his parents touch that, they explode.
Yeah.
He warns them not to. It's evil. Don't touch it. They ignore him, touch the evil, and just explode.
Yeah.
And the movie ends.
And the movie ends with him going, "Mom, Dad, I guess you're an orphan now, kid. Shit out of luck."
That's the thing. It would just be like a weird punchline if they cut away from the explosion, including him going "Mom, Dad" as the final lines of the movie.
Yeah.
Makes it so much darker.
Well, yeah, it's mean, is what it is. It's a mean ending. I mean,
outrageously mean.
Yeah, it's a cruel ending. I mean, I remember when I saw it back in 1980, and the movie ended, and I remember my dad going, "What?" And as kids, I'm 10 years old and I'm watching it going, all right, that's interesting. I didn't really get it at the time because I was too wrapped up in all the zaniness I was still remembering. But my dad, boy, did he hate that ending.
I'm suddenly more sympathetic to your dad in this story because I'm now realizing, if I was watching this movie with my kid and it ended like that and my kid loved it, I would probably take that personally.
Yeah.
It is a stick in the eye. I mean, there's no other way to this is an aggressive way to end your kid's film. And and it makes no sense necessarily. Like this is not the ending this movie's been building to. Like the parents kind of suck. We see visions of them.
But they deserve to die.
In the Fortress of Evil. No, they're banal and ordinary. They're every person,
it's kind of,
has a little
it's doing an updated Wizard of Oz with, British sized. And then it tacks on a John Carpenter ending.
Yeah. I mean, it's completely out of left field. I mean, a normal way to end this, of course, would have been, the fire happens and you're convinced that it's all in the kid's mind, and then the last shot is him finding the Polaroids, which gives you the blue sky on Mars ending. It could work either way, and you're questioning, did it all happen? And then you look and you see the wink from Agamemnon, the fireman, and that should have been the last shot of the movie.
Instead, it's a camera like zooming out onto like the suburbs that he lives in as he stands in the wreckage of his exploded
smoking
parents.
crater.
Yeah. But let's just add insult to injury and kill the parents while you're at it.
So Gilliam says everyone asked him to explain this ending, like, what were you thinking, kind of, and he was just like, well, I didn't. The parents were, they're kind of lame, right? And it's just like, well, yes, but, and then like, I don't think kids are bothered by this. I think parents are bothered by it, and kids like it. And I'm just like, no, I think everyone's bothered by this, man.
Yeah.
I think if I saw this as a 10-year-old, it would have fucked me up good, actually. I think I would have been terrified to see the kids' parents explode at the end with no sort of resolution and no idea what happens next. I think most kids would be, in fact.
It probably won't shock you to learn that the present-day streaming series does not copy this ending.
It's all about saving the parents. Yeah.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
In fact, softens the parents considerably. They maintain the thing of the parents are obsessed with like their phones and newfangled technology while the kid's a history dork. But yes, he does. They start playing around with the rules of time travel and trying to convince the time bandits to go back and like prevent the parents from being blown up.
Okay. Well,
which they do.
It sounds like there's merit to watching the show. I'll endeavor to do
Honestly, it's pretty good. It's pretty short. So the things that they do, I mean, again, Jermaine Clement as evil is great.
Lisa Kudrow, right?
Yes, they have more time to develop the time bandits themselves as a unit and give them more distinct personalities, which is to the good. And yeah, it is a perfect use of both Jermaine Clement and Lisa Kudrow as she's the
Kudrow
Randall
surprised
figure.
me. Kudrow really surprised me. You wouldn't think like that David Rappaport's energy is like, well, Lisa Kudrow should do that. And it is quite different. But, she actually seems to work pretty well in this show, which is a big surprise to me, honestly.
Cool.
It made total sense once I started watching it. Like, oh, this is it's not what I would have, first thing would have occurred to me is that you replace that, David Rappaport character with Lisa Kudrow, but it is 120% a Lisa Kudrow character. It's her doing her thing, amped up a little bit. And yeah, the other time bats, none of them are as funny as her. No. But they do have a lot more definition and distinct, things than
versus this one eats rats. That's his whole gimmick. Is he eats anything, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, I struggled with the show. I didn't think it was that funny. I didn't finish it. I might continue with it, but I kind of was just like, well, there's a lot of TV right now. There's a lot of shows I'm watching. I don't know if I can knock all this out.
Well, I would say it's worth finishing mainly just because the finale episode is where you're going to get the most time with evil, and that's
interesting. Then I mean, he's good. He's a very smart choice for the role.
And Taika Waititi himself plays the Supreme Being.
That was less exciting to me. That was the wrong person at the wrong time, casting wise. I think that was right when everyone was turning on him, which is also maybe why this show kind of got.
That's kind of meta. That's. Mm-hmm. The show is about his workers turning on him.
I suppose it is.
In large part. The Supreme Being, much like the movie, is not a figure of pure benevolence. He's kind of the antagonist, actually, by the end. But yeah, there's a little bit of Waititi fatigue.
Right.
Well, he lost a lot of goodwill with Love and Thunder. That's for sure.
And a variety of other extracurricular.
Yeah. I mean, his personal life issues as well. But I mean, as far as if his output had remained,
performance in Free Guy, a number of things happened.
All right. But I mean, but if the artistry is still there, if he's still putting out good product, there's a certain degree of all sins are forgiven. But yeah, I mean,
I think he's spread a little thin too, because there's not just Time Bandits. He's also doing Reservation Dogs and the Pirate Show, which I actually liked.
Real,
yeah.
Oh yeah, the Pirate Show. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I forgot about that one.
Yeah,
I don't think he had any real on-set presence for Reservation Dogs or anything, but
probably not. Yeah,
but he helped get it off the
What We
ground.
Do in the Shadows, he executive produced and starred. And
right,
they guested a couple of them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Anyway,
What We Do in the Shadows is great.
It is.
I love it. Yeah.
Never dipped. It was always funny, and yeah, I mean, I think that you would definitely have to say that Waititi is an obvious ancestor. Antecedent of
Gilliam.
what Terry Gilliam is doing, and he's adding. He's definitely got his own vibe. The thing that nobody is duplicating from Terry Gilliam is that sort of amorality. No one would ever end a movie like this, that is, I think it is a broken ending, in fact.
Yeah.
But there's value in that. Like that is part of
You
the
remember
identity
it
of
because
Time
of that.
Bandits. Yes, is that it has this ending that is completely fucking nuts, and maybe seeing it as an adult when it couldn't damage me helps in that regard, because I don't hold it against the film in any way. I'm kind of just like, wow, how about that shit? You know, like, so I wouldn't show this to my kid anytime soon, obviously. But, you know, it's a good one.
That's a kind of a damning statement for a kid's adventure movie, though.
Kind of, I suppose.
Yeah.
But you know what? If the kid saw it, I bet it would actually open up avenues of imagination and creative thought in them.
Well,
you know,
I don't know. Again, I mean, but when the movie is posited as a kid's movie to a certain degree, I mean, it has obviously there's a lot of stuff in there that would fly over a kid's head. Like there's stuff in there that I didn't get for years. But again, though, it's posited as a kid movie, and you end it with a very non-kid friendly ending. You know, again, my dad hated it. Holy cow, did he hate it? I'll never forget that drive home. Just, you know, we were laughing, talking about funny things that we remembered from the movie, and he's just flabbergasted. Just, wow. You know, and I remember when, you know, he dropped off my friends, and we came in, and my mom was like, you know, hey, how'd you like the movie? My dad was like, man, would you have hated that? You know, it was, interesting.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's its value now.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you talk about 80s fantasy movies there for kids. There's, you know, dozens upon dozens. That was the hot thing at the time, and they all have a similar look, which this film shares. Mm-hmm. None of them end like this one. Not a single one. This is the weird sort of nihilistic, mean one.
It's mean-spirited. Oh yeah, it's a mean-spirited ending.
Yeah. That is also has some really funny shit in it, and does kind of scratch an itch of just sort of like, you know, wanderlust and adventure.
Yeah,
I read Treasure Island too. It was great. You know, it's fun to imagine things as a kid. So I have a lot of affinity for this one, more than I used to. In fact, I don't think it's going to be, you know, it probably won't be in the top half of Gilliam, but I do think it's kind of a great movie. You know, I think it's an immense amount of affection for it and all its weirdness.
It is just memorable.
Yeah, Dead Zones aside, I think I admire the again, it's a 10 out of 10 premise. It really is. And for the most part, I think the premise is realized really, really effectively, especially with 80s level, you know, 1980 level special effects. There's a lot of charm. Even the Duff special effects have a charm to them as implemented. So, you know, it still works. And I you know, again, the Napoleon sequence aside, I think the movie is well paced. There's a lot of good stuff in there, and again, it's just you got that ending that makes it memorable. Yeah, whether or not you like it or not, you'll remember that ending.
Yep. All right. Well, I think that closes the page on Time Bandits, right? I think we did it, right? Thanks for joining us, Matt.
Thank you.
Yeah, as always, a pleasure to have you here. Next one we're talking about is Brazil. That's a big one. So, you know, more nihilistic fantasy coming on up about dreams and madmen. Yeah.
Just curious, are you going to be talking about the different cuts of Brazil?
I think you have to.
I mean, in concept, yes. Like, you know, there's no reason to watch some of those, honestly. Like, here's the bad cut that the studio wanted.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Cool. That's awesome that exists. Delighted.
That's part of the story. That's basically that there wasn't a Love Conquers All cut of Time Bandits. That's what you just said.
You don't even need a Love Conquers All. You just need the parents don't get killed version of Time Bandits.
True. Just shave off 25 seconds at the end.
Yeah. Mom, Dad, and
then cut to black. Like we're going to do now. Cut to black.
It's evil! Don't touch it!
That was only one of the many occasions on which I met my death.